So Nico Williams' agent has had talks with Andrea Berta, apparently. That's the story in The Guardian. They're not the only ones to have said it. We saw other sort of journalists and reporters talk about it online. And I kind of first looked at it and went, yeah, sure. I mean, that, you know, sometimes, even here on the Goonerverse too, where we are happy to explore a little bit of rumour and stuff, I did think, yeah, but like, I mean, of course, we know that Arsenal like Nico Williams, really like Nico Williams. I've even looked at him across previous summers. I'm not surprised that Berta getting his feet under the table at Arsenal would have, I don't know, held some conversations around the targets that Arsenal were looking at. But The Guardian have come out and said that he has held talks with his agent. It's one of the first things he's done as Arsenal sporting director. And once again, Arsenal are expected to make a move for the Athletic Bilbao winger. Let's go through the details. I've actually got the article right here in front of me. I want to read you exactly what's being said, because what I don't want this channel to become is a complete gossip channel. It is a little bit, I'll be honest, but I want it to come from proper reporters. I want it to be stuff that's genuinely got a little bit of weight to it. That's why there's certain stuff like Xavi Simons was kind of linked yesterday, albeit by Fabrizio Romano. But all Romano really said was, you know, Arsenal are one of the clubs monitoring the situation. I'm not really interested by that. Anything, though, where journalists are coming out who are somewhat credible, writing for credible, you know, papers and online outlets and saying, no, talks have been held and there's kind of some, I don't know, momentum behind this kind of stuff, I will cover it. And this actually has that. So here's the headline. Arsenal eyes summer move for Athletic Bilbao's Nico Williams after initial talks. Andrea Berta understood to have met Williams' agent. Clubs have heavily scouted forward for the past 2 years, as I mentioned. Now, again, when this kind of little bit in the headline says that Berta's understood to have met Williams' agent, I thought, was that them just kind of picking up on what had been said online? But to be fair, it looks like they're coming with their own information here. That this is Ed Aarons in The Guardian. So he said that Arsenal were exploring a summer move for Williams. Berta held talks with the Spain forward's representatives in one of his first acts as the club's sporting director. It's understood that Berta, who's confirmed in his post last Sunday, has met the 22-year-old's agent, Felix Tainter, I hope I pronounced that correctly. He mentions that they've been heavily scouted. And that, he talks about how Williams has starred for Spain at Euro 2024. Was it? Yeah, 2024. And other stuff. You know, the kind of usual stuff you kind of need to know. What else is there? There's a release clause thought to be £48.4 million as well in there. But we know that the stumbling block with Nico Williams hasn't ever really been the release clause side of things. It's more been the wages. Supposedly he'd want upwards of 250, 300 grand a week. We know that Arsenal already have a bit of a wage situation to deal with come this summer, but probably doesn't want to take on another one of those. But he's probably also quite excited to splash the cash a little bit at Arsenal and go working with Mikel Arteta saying, who are the forwards you want? Let's build your dream forward line and get Arsenal firing some trophies. But as you'll have seen from this thumbnail, I've got Zubimendi on it as well. Why? Because he does put in this article that the Real Sociedad midfielder Martin Zubimendi is expected to complete a £50.2 million move, with Thomas Partey and Jorginho likely to depart when their contracts expire. Now, I did a video, one of my first kind of videos on this channel last week, talking about how Real Madrid was supposedly going to hijack the Zubimendi move. And the reason, again, I sort of covered that was because there was so much kind of smoke around it. Loads of Spanish reporters coming out, and it kind of took over one evening and everyone was going, okay, well, there must be something to this. We've kind of seen this kind of transfer story develop before. Plus, again, it's quite a simple deal for them to do, around £51 million. If you meet the release clause, it's looking like, you know, you're going to go to Real Madrid, because why wouldn't you? But I do think that there's something around, you know, this Xabi Alonso thing and Zubimendi, and if he ends up there, I don't know if he's leaving Leverkusen, and that's kind of all something to ponder. And also, Arsenal supposedly done a lot of work in this one. Arsenal have really worked hard to try and get ahead with this Zubimendi deal, and that's why in January we had reports coming out that Arsenal was set to sign him. They'd almost kind of got everything, sort of hiccuping halfway through, that they kind of got loads of, you know, of the work done in build-up to it being a summer deal for 2025. So Arsenal might be quite ahead of it. It's just that when Real Madrid knock, can they kind of prize you away? Anyway, since all that, lots of English media outlets have come out, including Ed Aarons here in The Guardian, have come out and said, you know, as far as we're aware, he's still expected to make the move to Arsenal. Now, David Ornstein, and I'm paraphrasing here, I have to say, I think in a Q&A on The Athletic said, look, because he's so respectful, David Ornstein, he basically said, I don't want to dismiss the reporting of other journalists, But my information is that Arsenal are very much expecting Zubimendi to join this summer. And that's quite strong from an Arsenal perspective. You rarely get that kind of real kind of purposeful communication from the club, even if it's via other journalists, as to what they're kind of expecting to happen, with regards to a particular transfer. So I think we can feel pretty confident as Arsenal fans that Zubimendi will happen. And actually, this is probably a good time to be getting that kind of news, because he just played really well apparently against Real Madrid. And people are sort of starting to appreciate the player a little bit more. I remember when we were first linked, a lot of people were like, well, why? We've got Partey, Jorginho, can't he just, give them more contracts? Rice could play the 6, Mourinho's not doing it at the 8, blah, blah. And actually, I think with time, people are going, yeah, this could be a really, really shrewd addition. And a lot of Arsenal fans, to be fair, were saying that at the time. Anyway, so Zubimendi, good game against Real Madrid, a lot of praise for him, some comps doing the rounds on X, and it looks like he is going to join. But Nico Williams, another one. Now, when you look at all this, okay, sorry, not another one. Nico Williams is another one we're looking to sign. It feels to me like Arsenal are trying to wrestle their way ahead with some of these deals, because the other one's Joan Garcia. Big up Hand of Ozil, who's always spot on. Well, I think he's now Hand of Arsenal. He's now Hand of Arsenal, I believe. Yeah, on X, right. So he goes by the name of Hand of Arsenal. And he's basically an ITK on Twitter. A lot of you will know him. And he does really, really good work to sort of find out what's going on. Broke a lot of the sort of spare knee pan stuff back in January, and he's basically saying that Arsenal still want to pursue what's going on with Joan Garcia. So in fact, actually, if I just read you the tweet, Arsenal have Joan Garcia set as their number one target to challenge David Raya next season. It's his understanding there was a verbal agreement last summer. He was ready to leave on deadline day. What it says, for a while now, the deal has been at a standstill, with Arsenal having done a huge amount of groundwork while they finalise their new sporting director. The file is now firmly on Andrea Berta's desk, who will make a joint decision with the senior decision makers whether or not to proceed in negotiating and closing the deal or pivoting to cheaper targets. I don't think we need a £30 million goalkeeper, but if his potential is really, really, really good, he could maybe compete with David Raya. You want squad depth across the board. If he's happy to be a number 2, then wow, that says a lot too. So maybe the fact that Arsenal have been on this from the very start means he's kind of been quite endeared to the project and his part to play in it all. So when you look at all this, you take it all in, right? Nico Williams, Berta has talked to his agent, according to Ed Aarons of The Guardian, right? Zubimendi, Sami Mokbel said, is set to sign. In January, he said that he was set to sign for this summer. And Joan Garcia is a deal we've been working on since last summer. It feels like Arsenal are really, really trying to get ahead with their summer business. Now, why did David Ornstein come out with this, Victor Gyökeres stuff? Because it feels to me, when this kind of stuff does get out, that Arsenal are sort of starting to get feelers out there and are maybe starting to feel confident something could happen. And now what we're seeing is a lot of stuff attached to Berta's name. I don't remember this much happening with Edu. I don't remember there being this much in terms of Edu has done this, Edu has done that. There was a little bit, Edu wants this guy, Edu wants that guy. It was often under either Mikel Arteta or just the club umbrella in general. But there's a lot of this attached to Andrea Berta. Now, is this just really good PR because he's just come in and they want it to kind of seem that he's kind of really hit the ground running and really getting on with a lot of the summer business? Maybe the answers will come in June/early July when we find out if a lot of these players are in the door. Or is it that he's looked at the problem and basically gone, we need to tackle it really quickly, and a lot of this stuff is moving quite quickly, so reporters are getting hold of it too? These are my questions. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. But Berta has held talks with Nico Williams' agent, apparently, but it feels pretty credible. Interesting one. Let me know your thoughts.